very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Myself, Vaibhav. In today's session of Visual JForex, we will be starting to work with the new indicator named HT Trendline. This is a shortened version of the full name, the Hilbert Transform Trendline. This was developed by John Eller, the well-known trader, and who has also developed many other indicators. This indicator gives us the idea of the direction of the movement as well as the strength of the movement. And as you might be aware, if you have used other trend lines, the trend line can also be utilized as a support and resistance zone. So we have multiple uses for any trend line, and this particular version is also quite sophisticated. We can use it multiple ways. So let us get to the work. This is the Visual JForex board, which has been developed by the Dukascopy Bank SA. You will find this indicator listed amongst the other indicators just below Heikin-Ashi lines. In last session, I had completed the setup involving the Heikin-Ashi lines. Now it's the turn of Hilbert transform trend line. We will see how we can utilize this indicator to design and develop a profitable algorithmic setup. This is the default version, the block of the HT trend line, where we have to define these three input parameters, depending on which we will be getting the single output value, the trend line, and comparing this output value, we can see whether there is upward momentum, whether there is bullish momentum, or the trajectory for the price moves is on the downside. And as I said earlier, we can also utilize this HT trend line as a stop loss and support area. This is the JForex platform here. This is the USD JPY chart. This time around, we will be working with the USD JPY as our default instrument. The setup is going to be quite simple, and we want to be trading with the trend, and we also want to take the help of this indicator, the trend line, as a support and resistance zone. So we are utilizing it in a both ways, to find the direction as well as to pinpoint the entry point for any particular trade. So as you can observe, if you plot it on the chart, this tracks closely the price moves for any underlying instrument. So this is quite useful to keep the momentum as close as possible. This is you can say a best fit for the price moves. The setup is going to be simple. We will be checking the direction of the HT trend line, whether it is falling or rising. So for that, we will be considering the current hours output value for the HT trend line, and if it is rising, we will be of course looking to buy, and if we see that the HT trend line values are in decline, we will be looking to sell. For that, we will be taking the interval of 6 hours. So we will be comparing the current hours HT trend line output with the output 6 hours back, and depending on the output values direction, we will be looking to initiate the trade. And not only that, we want the trade to be initiated as close as possible to this HT trend line. So for that, we will create a kind of a price band, and only within this price band the trade should be initiated. So for USD JPY, I think 10 pips is a good enough price move. So for any buy trade to be initiated or for any sell trade to be initiated, the point of entry is going to be closer to this trend line. For buy, the trade should happen only within the 10 pips above the HT trend line. So whatever is the current hours HT trend line, the trade will be initiated uh, in between these 10 pips price band. Suppose, for example, here the HT trend line output is at 109.55. So the price band will be 109.65 on the upper side and 109.55 on the lower side. And whenever we have the price moves satisfying our requirement, the trade will be initiated. Same thing will hold for the sell trade, only within the 10 pips price band the trade will be initiated whenever we have downward trajectory holding in the USD JPY or any other instrument of your choice. So provided the hourly conditions are in place, to initiate the trade, we will move on to the lower time frame charting. And here we will use this set up the trend line as a guiding factor, as a direction finding indicator. In hourly candle period, we used it as a resistance and stop loss zone. For buy side, we will be utilizing it as a support, and also its utility is also going to be for finding the trend. So we are using it in multiple ways. And to optimize the entry, what we will do, we will look to initiate the trade only when there is initial movement, initial change in the price trajectory, so that we don't really get involved in any trade when there is a change of direction happening. So to avoid that kind of situation, we want to initiate the trade when in the ST trend line the trend changes. So somewhere like this, if the hourly candle period is providing the confirmation on the hourly time frame, we will be looking to initiate the trade if and when the ST trend line changes its trajectory. So for that, what we will do is we will take the current 5 minutes ST trend line value, compare it to the value 30 minutes back. So we will take the ST trend line output 30 minutes back using the shift value of 6, and it should be higher, but the same value, not same, the HT trend line output 6 candle periods back of 5 minutes each should be lower compared to the HT trend line value with the shift value of 12. So we will be utilizing this kind of combination. We will be comparing the HT trend line output over 1 hour. It should be higher compared to the output half an hour back, but it should be lower compared to the output 1 hour back. So this comparison will be done. So we will get this kind of a turnaround in the HT trend line output. And not only this, we will also need some correction to have happen. We don't really want to get involved when the price has already moved and the HT trend line is catching up. So what we will do is we will need the penultimate 5-minute candle to have closed lower, and after that the last 5-minute candle should have closed higher compared to the HT trend line. So that will also ensure that immediately prior to the execution of the trend, the correction was there, and only after correction the price is again catching up in and starting to rise. So this is going to be the buy side of the equation. And for any sell trade, the change will also be similar. We will need the turnaround to happen, and for that the current 5-minute candles HT trend line output should be lower compared to the HT trend line output 30 minutes back, and the output 30 minutes back should be higher, should have been higher compared to the HT trend line output 1 hour back. So we will be utilizing this combination. And here the condition on the price action front is not going to be fulfilled, as we need the penultimate candle to have closed higher compared to the HT trend line output, and after that it should again close on the lower side. So that's how we want to go for the buy or the sell trade whenever the situation is favorable enough. Now let us head back to the Visual JForex board, where we will have to add the blocks. Just let me check if the recording is going well. Yes, it is. First thing first, we will have to do is get the instrument subscription done. For that, we are going to need 2 if blocks and one more if block for defining the position amount value. On candle. default variable, default instrument should match the candle instrument. And then the candle instrument should match the instrument of choice. This time around, we are using the USD JPY. Here it is. Here also, the instrument will need to be changed. After this, we will define the position amount. All position amount should be equal to 0. This I will change to 1 hour. And now we are going to need 3 or 4 more of these HT Trendline blocks. Shift value will be 6 for this block, and this 2 will be changed to 5 minutes each. Shift value will remain 0. I think no need to change. For this block it is going to be 6, and one more will be needed, which will have the lookback period of 12. Okay, so we have these HT trend line blocks in place. Now we need to define the price band. For that we are going to need calculation expression 10 pips. Default instrument pip size multiplied by a new variable with the value of 10, and this will be A1 into A2. After this, we will also need 5-minute blocks, the info blocks, and two more of 10 seconds each to pinpoint the exact entry point. This will have the shift value of 1, and this block I will change to 2. These two 5-minute blocks are going to be very important, as we are going to compare the candle closing output, candle closing values with the output value of the 5-minute HT trend line block. And provided all the conditions have been satisfied, we will look to initiate the trade whenever the price starts to rise above the last 5-minute candle close. So for that, we are going to take the help of 10-second blocks of shift value 1 and 2 respectively. So with this, we have most of the basic building blocks in place, which will help us retrieve the required values, which will then be utilized to place the conditions and get the logical setup in place for execution of the buy as well as for the sell trade. So that's it from my side for today's session. I hope you have been able to understand the logical as well as the execution part of this indicator straight line algorithm. For next session, we will have to get the buy side of the equation done, and after that in subsequent session we will be trying to complete it fully. So thank you all for joining in. You can also check out the Dukascopy analytics page for further coverage of the market developments. To start trading, you can utilize the JForex platform for carrying out the historical test on historical data. You can export this file and in Java format, and then import the same file on the JForex platform and carry out the testing there. We are also available on the Facebook. You can join us there. All the links have been provided. Thank you all for joining in. See you next time. Till then, goodbye.